Josh Neighbors College Countdown here on a Tuesday. It is the 23rd of September, 2025. Glad to have you alongside with us here. It's the Rogue Media Networks and also 365 Sports. You can't see me today because I had a procedure, and I'm not trying to subject you all to the procedure looking at my eyes. So we'll use graphics today. But you know what? Just because I was under the knife, I'm around at home, I can record. So why not record, right? That's kind of what we do here on the College Countdown. Today's show, we have the SEC 3 opponents. And if you all know me, I don't always like to give credit to the big leagues, but on this one, I will. They did a good job with this. The Southeastern Conference did today with the league. They're coming out tonight with all of the teams. They did a good job with everything that they're going to bring to us. I think, in my opinion, I want to see what you all think. SEC did a good job with this. I want to break down why I think they did a good job, not just the opponents, but the time frame and how they're giving themselves some flexibility about how they schedule. I think that's a really crucial part of what the Southeastern Conference has done well with this new scheduling platform, this new scheduling system that they've done, and kind of give them some thoughts about the common opponents. Also, the ACC going to that 9-game conference schedule, which means every single one of the Power 4 leagues has gone to a 9-game conference schedule, all of them mandating a extra game against a Power Conference opponent, and only one of them now is not mandating that, the Big Ten, but they've already gone to that 9-game conference schedule. Before we get rolling today, I want to let you guys know, I want to thank our sponsors, the folks at DraftKings Sportsbook. You can use the promo code NEIGHBORS, NEIGHBORS. You can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. That's a big deal. And I've always said this, guys. I truly believe this. Out of all the sports books out there, DraftKings by far has the best interface. So if you're at the gun, this is when it comes into really good play. This is when it's important. If it's 228 and you're getting ready for that 2:30 slate, if you're at 3:30 on the East Coast, and you forgot to get a bet in, you're mentioning it, DraftKings interface is so easy to navigate that you can get there pretty fast. You can get that bet in without any worries or hassle, and that's why one of the many reasons that I think DraftKings is a superior sports book. The crown is yours with DraftKings. We'll have more from them later on in the show, but I'll let you guys know that they are one of our sponsors. Terms and conditions do apply. Twitter at CC Podcast JN. I am at Josh Neighbors _ as well. Those are all the kind of side things that matter here on today's show. But let's get to this schedule. Now, it's supposed to be released on Tuesday evening. The Southeastern Conference will release this schedule Tuesday night on SEC Network in a scheduling, I think it's SEC Network, in a scheduling special. They'll have the schedule and whatnot. Furthermore, proving the NFLification of our college sports, but as is the kind of climate that we live in today. But here is what your blocks look like. You can see on the screen here. I'll go through all of them, the common opponents, but it's easiest if you have those visual tools. Alabama, they have Auburn, Tennessee, Mississippi State. Arkansas has Missouri, Texas, and LSU. Georgia has Bama, Georgia, and Vandy. Florida has Georgia, South Carolina, and Kentucky. Georgia has Auburn, Florida, and South Carolina. Kentucky has Florida, Tennessee, and South Carolina. LSU has Arkansas, Ole Miss, and A&M. Mississippi State has Ole Miss, Vandy, and Bama. Missouri has Arkansas, A&M, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma has Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas. Yikes. Ole Miss has Mississippi State, LSU, and Oklahoma. South Carolina has Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky. Tennessee has Alabama, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky. Texas has A&M, Arkansas, and OU. Texas A&M has LSU, Missouri, and Texas. And then Vanderbilt has Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. So they've gone with these three. Now, a big part of this, and this is the part that I like. I like common 3. That's good with me. And the other part is about the rotating 6. We all love that. But they're going to reevaluate this in a few years. I think that is massively important to this entire conversation. The fact that you're not just saying, you know what, we're going in with this, and we're going, this is why we're doing it, and there's no questions asked. No, they want to make sure this works. And I'd be surprised if there's not a rejiggering of this in 3 or 4 years, because so take your whatever fan base you have. I mean, I think Tennessee, I think that's a really great draw for them, right? I think for Tennessee, drawing Kentucky and Vanderbilt is a great draw. And if things play out, I believe they'll map it that way. I think the number one thing is that I'm going to give them credit for this now, the ability to be flexible. In the end of the day, I think what they're hoping is that some of these top level games become more constant. So like Alabama and Georgia play often, Georgia and Texas play often. And so, Georgia and Tennessee, they might flip back to that. But these big teams become more of rivals, and that allows them to schedule these games more often, and it'll get them more eyeballs on it. So like, they're not going to touch games like the Iron Bowl. They're not going to touch games like the third Saturday in October. They're not going to touch Texas versus Texas A&M. But I think some of us here are hoping that, hey, LSU A&M does not need to be a game that we play every single year. Now, I think if you're an Auburn fan, the other side of that is, look, we don't need Georgia, LSU, and Alabama. That's not really fair to us to have those as our three. And the TV network might like keeping Texas A&M versus LSU, but that game did replace Arkansas and LSU, and there was no reason for it to do so every Black Friday, at least in my estimation, right? But also I think that, look, like Florida LSU is a game a lot of us want to see every year. Auburn LSU is a game a lot of us want to see every single year. They have gotten rid of those games. I think, like, how do you flip those around so they can be more normal? I think that they might do a situation where, look, you rotate, right? LSU might play Auburn for 3 or 4 years. Then they might flip that. And I think ultimately, though, what gets protected are the big ones, right? Egg Bowl is going to be protected. Tennessee, Vandy will be protected. Third Saturday in October, Alabama and Tennessee will be protected. A&M versus Texas will be protected. Even down the line to like Arkansas, Missouri, which like has a trophy, I think that gets protected, right? I mean, they prioritize that over LSU against Arkansas. I think Oklahoma, Texas, obviously going to be protected, but they're bringing back some games more consistently here. I like that. I like A&M and Oklahoma playing, A&M, Oklahoma playing my Missouri Tigers often for OU. You got to like that as well. I don't necessarily see why Oklahoma needed to have Ole Miss as a common opponent. I think there had to be some scheduling jiu-jitsu, if you will, to make that one happen. But for the most part, I think you have to like what you see. Who made out the best? All right, let's go there first. Keeping in mind that there are 6 more conference games that are going to follow these 3, i.e., look, like, just because it looks, it can look a little bit easier now, it does not mean the future guarantees ease in the schedule. Tennessee playing Alabama, that's hard, but getting Kentucky and Vanderbilt, I know Vandy's come on, but one thing Tennessee does is, kind of exploits those athletes and the lack of athletes sometimes in space. In Tennessee, I think you have to like the fact that Kentucky and Vanderbilt are going to be on your schedule, because Kentucky's about to go through a coaching change, and Vandy, while on their way up, there's no guarantee they stay. And look, we haven't gotten into the latter part of the season. We have not seen whether Vanderbilt can maintain the momentum that they've established here, because right now, yeah, they thrashed Georgia State, right? That's a fantastic result. Or, the big win was over Virginia Tech, and Tech's terrible. Also over South Carolina, big win for them. But they're smashing teams. It's 45-3, 44-20, 31-7, 70-21. They are annihilating teams. The big question is, does that hold up later on in the season, later on in the schedule? And that's what everybody, I think, wants to see. And so you still have the questions about that. And look, they're coming off a 6-6 season, so it's not like they're amazing. So Tennessee has to be very thankful that their lot in life is that. Another big winner, I would definitely say, out of this situation, I would say Texas is a winner, because they right now, I think, are better than all three of the programs that they scheduled. Oklahoma, it's a rivalry game, sure, but like consistent the last 5 years, Texas, once he's gotten that turnaround, Sark's team has been better. Um, and so I would say that Texas having A&M, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, that is because that's a neutral site game. We know that we know Texas can go and win at Arkansas, and then A&M kind of looks like maybe it could be the hardest because that OU game is, it's the hardest rivalry, but it's kind of, here, there, everywhere. Like that game's just wild. But the other two, are somewhat manageable, at least in my estimation, for this. I think also out of this situation, I think Vanderbilt got a pretty good draw. Tennessee, Auburn, and Mississippi State, like those. And once again, this is not an overall snapshot. These are going to be games that are played in the next few years. So the short-term side of this really does matter. It's a huge factor in this is the short term. Mississippi State, same thing. Ole Miss, Vandy, and Alabama, like it could be a lot worse. Your big losers out of this, Auburn having to draw Alabama, Georgia, and Vanderbilt just is a massive. It sucks. It really does suck. Like Vanderbilt doable, but Georgia and Auburn or Alabama, those are two massive rivalries. They were never going to move them off. But that being said, maybe they gave them a break and they didn't. Oh, also Alabama getting Auburn, Tennessee, and State. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a nice situation for them. But I would say like big loser, Auburn and Arkansas, Texas and LSU being 2 or 3 next year, and then Missouri, who you can't beat. The combined record for Arkansas against those schools, in recent memory is not good. And so I think that they beat Texas recently, Arkansas did, but they have not beat Missouri a whole lot. They never won in Columbia. LSU has gotten the better of Arkansas the last few meetings as well. That to me is not it's not a family friendly, a friendly environment for them at this moment in time. So I would say those are the ones I look at. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, like and subscribe to the show, please. It really does matter a lot when you all do that. So if you all could like and subscribe, that would be very, very helpful to helping grow this show. Find us on Twitter once again at CC Podcast JN. And also, once again, our friends at DraftKings, who are about to visit with here in a couple of minutes. But make sure you guys check them out. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours with DraftKings. Use that promo code NEIGHBORS. You bet $5, you get $300 in bonus bets. Problem gambling in New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available online for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort in Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies in jurisdiction. Void in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Bonus bets expire up to 7 days of issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, I was going to go through some lines for the weekend, but that plan is out the window. So, breaking news coming here while we're recording the College Countdown podcast. This comes from Pete Thamel. Right now at ESPN. Mike Gundy is out at Oklahoma State. The Oklahoma State Cowboys have decided to part ways with Mike Gundy, and this is not surprising. This had come after a stretch where they have been absolutely miserable against power conference opponents. And Mike Gundy is shown the door, which I'm not too surprised about. This has been a really rough season for them. They lost to Tulsa this past week. They got drilled by Oregon, which I guess there's no shame in that, but really drilled by Oregon. And now they've decided to make the move. And I've been saying this for a while. This was something that we talked about on the College Countdown, on Locked On Big 12 when I still did that podcast. But the idea that the way Mike Gundy treated personnel and his talent identification was not as good, and maybe he had an eye for talent, but guys couldn't deal with the fact that he really did refuse to adapt and change. Like he had the OAN situation highlighted how kids cared more about stuff now than they did before. about off-field stuff and right, wrong, or indifferent, you have to be a bit beholden to that. And Mike Gundy, beholden to nobody, always himself. And it kind of hit the end of the line. It really did hit a critical mass of the way that he acted, how he treated people, and how things went on. So we'll have full reaction to this, but initially, like, this is something that you could see the cracks were coming a little while ago, I think. And I'm not surprised that Mike Gundy is shown the door. So Jack Allen and I will react to this further tomorrow, but Mike Gundy out at Oklahoma State. All right, that will do it for today's show. Make sure you follow us at CC Podcast JN. I'm at Josh Neighbors _ and a whole lot more coming your way this week on the College Countdown podcast.